Hello, I'm Velma McKenzie-Orr, and welcome to the Bookstore at Grace. We have a wonderful surprise for you. And I've come today to share with you some suggestions we have for you this year. These are not just suggestions for this season. These are suggestions to help you look at how to begin to understand the function of legacy. And the function of your legacy was a sermon that I got this idea from that was preached by Pastor W. Franklyn Richardson during our heritage.
I want to talk this morning from the subject, the function of legacy. The function of legacy. Unfortunately, some of us have missed the real value of legacy, what it means and the importance of understanding where you came from and how you got to where you are. It is the sense of history and legacy that empowers us to have high esteem for ourselves. That's why it's important for us to see to it that our children understand our struggle. Too many people today are derived of an understanding of who they are because the institutions of American society have not embraced fully the contributions of black people in this country. Our schools still inadequately tell the story of black people in America. And it's possible for you to be very smart in America by American standards and not know your history, not know your legacy, not know where you're from. This week I had the opportunity to meet with a young woman who was very smart. She was wealthy and she had great exposure, global exposure. And in the process of our conversation, I just happened to mention W.E.B. Du Bois, and she didn't know who that was. She didn't know who George Washington Carver was, nor Booker T. Washington. Now, you may seem shocked by that, but you'd be surprised how many people, black people in America, don't know who they are, nor the representatives of the long struggle of our journey. It's not because they mean to be left out, they just have been left out by the priorities of America's educational system. Many of our schools don't care to call W.E.B. Du Bois' name. Not that this young woman didn't have a good education. She had a good education, but devoid of a sense of identity and ownership of where she had come from, or the contribution of the people who represents her in this American society.
This is the package. It's 9 books in this series, and it is $20 for the 9-book set. And what is included in this series is the book of quotation, and there are 100 different African Americans who have relevance to our history that are quoted in this book. The other is great speeches by African Americans. And of course, you see that our first African American president is on the cover. In this green box right here that's a part of the series, these 7 books come in that box. And included in those 7 books is The Soul of Black Folks by W.E.B. Du Bois, African American Poetry, an anthology. This is from 1773 to 1927. Narrative of Sojourner Truth. And Sojourner Truth, all of us recognize that name, I hope. And Selected Poems by Paul Laurence Dunbar. Up from Slavery by Booker T. Washington. The Autobiography of an Ex-Colored Man by James Weldon Johnson. And we know James Weldon Johnson. Most of us are familiar with James L. Weldon Johnson, not as an author, but as the songwriter for Lift Every Voice and Sing, which is the Negro National Anthem. So his Autobiography of an Ex-Colored Man is included in this series. So when you buy the 9-book series, you get either one of these, the CD or the DVD, for 50% off. So that would be $5 for the CD or $7.50 for the DVD. Here's why we need to do this. If you don't know your history and you don't know what you've been through and you don't know the people whose shoulders that you're standing on, you're likely to accept somebody making up a history and attributing it to you. So you can do your shopping online, or you can come by the bookstore at Grace, and then you need to listen to or view Pastor's sermon, The Function of Legacy. I look forward to seeing you very soon at the bookstore at Grace, or online at www.bookstoreatgrace.org. Thank you.